ISUPK.
We want no cowards in our camp, and our camp only men prepared to die. We want no cowards in our camp, and our camp never let their brothers fly. We want no cowards in our camp, and our camp only men prepared to die.
That you're sorry? Do you want to? No, that's half of it. Do you want to finish the job?
I'll kiss the ground if it's part of your religion.
Get back on your knees, brother. What's the rest? Stay right there.
Lick up the dust from thy feet.
And kiss the boots of the priest and prophets of the Lord. Come kiss the boots of every man out here.
We want no cowards in our camp, and our camp only men prepared to die. We want no cowards in our camp, and our camp never let their brothers fly. We want no cowards in our camp, and our camp only men prepared to die.
My life just depends on your death. If you're out here selling dope, you ain't no better than a vampire. Your life depends on another person killing themselves every day. That ain't no right to have. The only way you live is if somebody gotta die every day. You gotta poison themselves slowly every day. That's what your life depends on. You a damn vampire, man. That's right. You got somebody, you got a daughter and a sister you ready to kill and die for, but you treating another brother's daughter and sister like whores, man. Right. You a damn hypocrite, man. Right. You gotta do better, man. We out here because we love our people, man. And these scriptures say it's okay to be mad, but it says to sin not. That's right. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning, man. We begin in bad, we begin in hell, man. So right now we building the kingdom of heaven in the ISUPK under command of General Yohanan, man. That's what's going on out here.
It was over with. It's not over. It's still continuing right now as we speak. In order to stop this oppression, what we have to do is get back to our oracles, which is serving the Most High.
That's right.
All right, that's what we got to get back to, man. Otherwise, we are going to continue to be a byword and a proverb and an example for our oppressor.
Right.
If you don't understand what I'm saying, a target. And that's literally going to be on your back. You are going to be the next brother or sister that is known as Sonia Massey, George Floyd, Philando Castile. How many times must we go through this in order to understand what the Lord is trying to show us? All right?
How it should be, man. This scripture that Christ had told his disciples is how you stop crime as a whole. Because when you go to him and him alone, and for you sisters out there who love the beef and who don't like to talk to another woman about how she treated you, you sisters need to go to her alone as well.
Nobody is holding you accountable for the things that you say you were doing or not doing. There's no, like the scriptures say, everything should be done in decency and in order.
That's right.
There's no order and decency with you going on the internet and running in the streets with no guidance, without being sent, without being anointed by the man of the Lord, by being sent by a man of God out there on them streets. You must be sent.
When you hear us say salute, Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabakatah, right? That is Hebrew.
Okay? Shalom, shalom, that is not Hebrew. I don't know where you learned that from. Most likely from Esau, from the Jewish. On the street corners. And we ain't selling dope, but we are teaching you how to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. We are teaching you how to not be a drug addict and a drug dealer.
Right.
How to keep you out of prison. How to not make you a target for Esau to use.
You know, people that come in your life that can make you to be better, a better person. And that's what they did for me, man. And that's when my life started to change. That's when I started getting, you know, when the Lord really started blessing me. Like I started opening, that's when the businesses came and all these opportunities came. Because before that, I was at my my father's funeral. That was the first year I met the ISUPK. I was at my father's funeral and I stood up at his eulogy and I was telling him I was hurt, I was angry, and I was telling him I was going to kill everybody that ever sold my dad drugs.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I was that mad.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was, you know, then I thought, but at that time, my old man was dying. You know, the man I used to be, I was becoming born again. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it talks about in the scriptures, being born again. I was becoming a new man. My old person, I had to die for me to live. You know, who I used to be. I wasn't Qadash Zayan. I was that other person. And I told them, like, but I'm not going to do that to y'all because this ain't personal with me. You will unalive your own mother and father. You will sell your own mother and father drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the, you know, you sick too. Satan is Satan. You know what I'm saying? You battling demons. You know what I'm saying?
What up, world? It's your man, Cross, a.k.a. Mr. Dean. You listen to the Man Up Club on Holy Culture Radio, channel 140. You know what it is with the Man Up Club. Is where we give a voice to young black males across America. You hear from a lot of people when it comes to the young black male, but you don't hear from young black men themselves. And that's what we do here at the Man Up Club Presents. Man Up Club is a mentor leadership organization for young black males between the ages of 13 and 24. We mentor in 4 different areas, which is life skills, social skills, academic discipline, and civic responsibility, with 3 main goals within the organization, and that is to get young men to graduate from high school, keep them out of the prison pipeline, and get them to go on to college or have a trade after high school. We're located in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, more specifically Minneapolis, where we have several different programs: music production program, culinary arts, fitness program, construction program, tutoring program, along with a lot of other things. But if you want to know more about the Man Up Club, feel free to tap in with us at themanupclub.org. Once again, that's themanupclub.org. Oftentimes, though, you know, we'll bring in other men to speak to the young men and tell their story and what have you, so that young men across America can kind of glean from their life, take things out of it, extract things so that it'll help them with their walk. And so we always want to bring on different type of guests who can speak from that vantage point. Today I have a guest with me. His name is Qadash. Qadash, how you doing, man?
Hey, excuse me, man. I'm well, man. Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Good. So, hey, we want to know a little bit about you, man. We're just going to have a conversation, man, and, you know, get to know who you are, where you've been, how you developed, and some of the challenges and pitfalls that you had to overcome, and talk about, you know, some of your successes or what have you, and to be able to give young men just different perspectives on mentors. You know, that's one of the things that the Man Up Club does, is really focus on mentorship. And a lot of times what we want to do is we want to seek out black men who are in the community, man, who are, you know, doing some great work within the community and connecting on the grassroots level. Your recommendation came to me from one of my employees, TK, who's a dear friend of mine, and he's also my program coordinator and program director. And so he was telling me about some of the work that you were doing and thought that you might be a great person that we could talk to in regards to helping these young men.
Hey, no, I appreciate that. Thank you, TK, for the invite, and all glory goes to the Most High for that, man. For all the work that I'm doing, you know, if it wasn't for the Lord, it wouldn't be possible for me to be here. And so I always give all the glory to the Most High for that.
That's what's up.
Thank TK for the kind words. You know what I mean?
How'd you grow up, man? You from Chicago, right?
Yeah, originally
Yeah.
from Chicago.
So let's start with your childhood, man. Tell us about how you grew up. Walk us through.
Man, so grew up in Chicago on the west side, K-Town area.
Okay.
People who are familiar with Chicago. Grew up down there, you know, family was together, you know, it started off okay, you know what I mean? My mom and dad was together, was married. And then substance abuse came into the play, you know.
At what age for you?
For my father, I came to find out that it was, you know, the whole time since he was in high school. So he had me.
Oh, wow.
He had me at 16.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So my mom said around, you know, senior year, you know, that's when the cocaine, you know, hit the scene back then, you know, and it was like normal. It was like just a normal party drug, she said. And so she said that the cocaine use started back in high school for them, you know. So by the time I was in, like, let's say third grade, third grade, that's when the family started to take a turn for the worse as far as me seeing violence in the home with my mom and dad, you know, because I come later to find out it was because she was trying to, you know, pay the bills and, you know, he wanted the money, you know, things like that. But I never saw, like my dad, he always went to work. He always, you know, he was always what I've come to find out now is a functioning addict at the time.
Okay.
I know now, you know, because of what I like to call the gentrification of drug addiction. Because, you know, at my father's time, they were calling it the war on drugs. You know, they were criminals and all of these things.
Yeah.
And so now I come to find out that, you know, now that drug addiction has been gentrified, it's now substance abuse disorder. Now it's a sickness.
Okay.
And you know, so so my father was sick. I never knew he was sick, you know. And so I just saw some of the fights, and then eventually my mom and father got a divorce, and my father moved to Minnesota. So we stayed in Chicago from second and third grade, you know, fourth grade, and then we used to come up, you know, for summertime to visit Dad. When he started to get his life, he got into church, kind of cleaned himself up a little bit, got himself together. So we used to come up for the summers to visit, and then we eventually stayed permanently, you know, like in 8th grade. Yeah. So yeah, that's as far as childhood, that's where it started from, and then I came here, man, and we've been good ever since. I love Minnesota, you know what I'm saying? This is my home. I raised my family here, but so we came here. So I think 8th grade. So we came for the summer. I think 5th grade we did a year, but I wound up moving back. So it was kind of some back and forth. You know, you want to be with mom, you want to be with dad. You know. Yeah. But 8th grade, I wound up permanently moving. After 8th grade, I wound up permanently moving back here and finishing high school here over at Southwest High School. I graduated from over there. Okay. But in, let's say, what was that, when I was 15. When I was 15, that's when my dad became not functioning. You know, that's when the drugs, you know, really took over. You know, he wasn't, you know, it got bad. And, you know, my stepmom was, you know, was not a good stepmom to us all the time. You know, she treated us, you know, like stepkids. You know, like, you know how that phrase come, you know, we were the stepkids. And then when my father fell off, you know, he came to us like, hey, when I was 15, he was like, hey, man, y'all gonna have to walk on eggshells around here. I'm like, man, I don't know if you can do that. I ain't never seen nobody walk on the eggshell before. Yeah. You know, and so at that time, you know, I moved out. I just went into the streets. And my little brother followed a little bit behind me. He was a year and a half younger than me. Okay. But by the time he turned 15, you know, he went into the streets, you know.
Let me unpack that for a minute. And I appreciate you sharing all of that because that gives us a serious context in regards to your life. And I'm sure there's a lot of young men out there who are listening who can relate to your situation who may have been through same or similar. But there's a couple dynamics that you talk about, man, that I want to kind of touch. So I'm gonna go back to when you were a little kid. You, first of all, you had a mom and dad in the home, but you still had some issues. 80% of young black males, man, in America don't have fathers in their home. And even with our Man Up Club, you know, that's what we're dealing with. But, you know, you were fortunate to have one. And a lot of young men, even like myself, you know, didn't know who their father was. And that caused challenges and dynamics within itself. But the thing is, you said, when you were younger, you didn't see the issues, that you were having in this, that, and the other. So how did you perform in school when you were younger?
I always did pretty well in school.
Okay.
School was wasn't really an issue for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of came kind of natural, And like I said, my father was there. He kind of pushed that. He was a school bus driver at the time.
Okay.
And he did well. So we had a pretty structured home in the beginning.
And you said that he had you when he was 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had to be pretty mature at 16, to have a kid and then be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be there for my son. You feel me? So that's incredible, because that's one thing that I can relate to. When I was 20 years old, I became a single father, and that was really difficult for me to overcome some of those challenges, man. Go ahead. You just want to say something?
Yeah, no, I do. Shout out to my pops. Like I said later, the work that I do, some of the work that I do right now is because of the groundwork, that he was able to lay out before he passed away back in 2016.
Okay.
But he wound up, being overtaken by that fentanyl wave.
Oh,
did
he?
In.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but he had laid a foundation for us, man. Like you said, he was like that. Like you said, at 16, 17, he buckled down. He was a family man. He got married, tried to raise his family the best he can.
Yeah.
But that sickness, man, just took over him, And but before that, I was able to see him. He started a navigation program. He was a community system navigator, and with this organization that I still work with to this day called the Cultural Wellness Center.
Okay.
Right, and he started that program back in, I want to say, like almost 30 years ago, something like that, 25 years ago, and I'm able to benefit off that right now today. So before, I was able to, before he passed, I was able to tell him, thank you. I know I was angry for a while, when I've seen when things went bad, obviously when you was homeless, being homeless out there and going through what I had to go through in life. But
you were homeless, or he was homeless?
We were
you guys were. Okay.
Yeah, we at a time, because like I said, he couldn't maintain his household. The woman wasn't kind, so she kind of used that as an opportunity to push him down even more. And so I was angry with my father for a while until I became a father, like you said, and I looked at my kids and I'm like, thank you for everything you were able to show me, the work ethic you gave me to want to, to finish school, go to school and be in my children's lives, and and some of the things he did in the community, all of those things, I was able to see those things, and before things went left, so yeah, man, I give a big shout out to my dad for that, and the work that I'm able to do now, and that's why, like you said, you want me to go into the I'll let you keep going.
No, it's all good.
I'll keep going. I seen that. He did the
no,
thing.
It's all good.
I was just trying to see which way you wanted me to go with it, because, like I said, all of that led up to me doing this work, and like you said, the mentorship and everything that we got going on as far as using all of those things that I went through in life to better young men today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So. I can get into some specifics and we can break it down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got time, man. I appreciate you, being on the show, and you got a very interesting story that we want to basically unpack. I'm impressed with the way that you were able to overcome despite the odds, and we definitely want to get into that. It's your man, Mr. Dean. You listen to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Yo, what up? It's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Cross, and we right back on the Man Up Club presents with my man, Qadash. So tell me how as a kid, man, you witnessed some of the fighting based on the drugs, man, and tell me how that kind of affected you, as a kid. What did it? What was running through your mind, and what was your emotions as far as how you were feeling?
Well, me and my brother, I remember one time me and my brother, we plotted on helping my mom and like how we were going to take Dad down one day. Like if he's trying to come and beat up on Mom again, we're like, yeah, you gonna get behind him and you gonna push him over, stuff we see on the TV. I'm gonna push him and you trip him, and we go, if he try to get Mom again, we're gonna do this and this and that. So that's trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's to be thinking about how you gonna protect your mom from your father, and how you it was, you know, at the time now, when I look back, I'm like, man, that's crazy to have to deal with that. You know.
And
but,
how old was you at that time?
At that time, that was back in 4th grade. So that was
Okay,
like,
yeah,
you know,
got you.
So
Got
4th
you.
grade, before we left Chicago, 'cause that's when they divorced. So back in 4th grade, this is happening. So that messed me up. And then it affected us later because, like I said, that divorce, you know, not having your dad there
Mm-hmm.
in the home, you know, being the man of the house now, you know.
Yeah.
So now I'm coming, and a lot of the little kids now, I'll be like, man, y'all could have survived, because my mom worked overnights. So when we was going to school, we used to walk to school.
Mm-hmm.
When we was going to school, she would sleep. She had just got off of work.
Yep.
And then when we came home from school, there was just money and a note on the table. So I used to have to help them with their homework. This 4th grade, I'm helping them with their homework. I'm taking the money. Obviously, I could read pretty good.
Yep.
Walk to the restaurant, buy food, come back home, feed them, get everybody ready for bed. You know, I'm doing this in 4th grade.
That's
you
a
know
lot
what I
of
mean?
responsibility for a 4th grader, man.
So I was forced to have to, you know, mature pretty fast. I'm looking at 4th graders now like, wow, these kids don't have it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they could. You know, a lot of the 4th graders I work with now, because I teach now. I got my basketball program for 4th. I do 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th graders.
Oh, nice.
With a little basketball league I started because, you know, it wasn't a lot of elementary school basketball teams. So I kind of went to the different schools and did that. So, and we can, you know, talk about that.
Yeah.
But seeing these 4th graders now, I'm like, I don't think they had the, you know, mental, you know, fortitude to handle, like you said, what I had to do coming up in Chicago. And it was a rough neighborhood too. You know, it was, again, you know, it wasn't the best neighborhood, but it was better back then. Like, it wasn't as rough as it is now in neighborhoods. Like, people looked out for it. Like, the older guys made sure I walked to the store. You know, it was cool. You know, it was, the neighborhoods ain't as bad, wasn't as disconnected as they are today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's some of the things that it affected me, because I was forced to grow up so fast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't get to be, you know, the normal, you know, kind of kid life, you know. And that's one of the things my dad told me when he moved to Minnesota, and we came to Minnesota to live with him. I remember one time I came in the house after school and my little brothers was crying. I'm like, I run upstairs like, man, what's wrong with my little brothers? You know, talking about dad. And he looked at me, he like, it's okay, son. He was like, man, come take a ride with me.
Okay.
And we hopped on some bikes, and we rode up to Lake Calhoun. You know, that's why right now today that's one of my favorite spots I still go to.
Yeah, Lake
right
Calhoun
now.
is cool.
But he rode up there. He was like, you know, we got some ice cream, and he was like, hey man, I just wanna let you know, I know you was the man of the house and you had to step in with me being absent, but he was like, you know, I'm your father. I never hurt your brothers, and I just want you to know you can be a kid now. You know what I'm saying? And I never forgot that.
How'd that make you feel, man?
You know, it made me feel good. Like I said, that conference, I never forgot it to this day.
Yeah.
I remember that, you know, him taking, because when I came in, I was very upset. Like, what happened to my little brothers? You know, why they crying? I'm questioning my dad and my stepmom.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, who did? You know, because that was my role as the big brother. You know, they crying, I protected them.
For sure.
And but him telling me that, man, it was like a weight was lifted off my back. You know, it felt like I could breathe. You know, I remember that, man, and I never forgot it. And I was cool ever since. I felt like, man, I got my dad's back. Like, he can take that. Like, you know, and I looked at it like, wow, you know. So then from then I was a kid. I'm just focusing on school and having fun and with friends and girls at the time, you know, whatever was going on at 8th grade. And so, yeah, man, I knew that was impactful on my life. 'Cause like I said, right now to this day, that same spot he took me to have that conversation at Lake Calhoun, that's one of my favorite places to go still today.
You had mentioned something earlier, man, that was pretty profound. You talked about how, you know, with your dad being on drugs or what have you, back then they called it the war on drugs, you know, and they kind of just attacked it as such. I specifically remember that era and that time too. And it's interesting how people put certain type of labels on certain things and create the narrative for it. You feel me? But then you said as you got older, you recognized that it became something different, which was a sickness. So, talk to me about, man, you know, the narrative change and, you know, how you looked at that then and you felt some type of way about it, kind of maybe thinking, and I don't want to put words in your mouth by any stretch of the imagination, but just, you know, you looked at obviously you had to look at your dad's struggle differently if you thinking, you know, we dealing with, you know, war on drugs, this, that, and the other, and then later on you come to find out, no, it's actually a sickness. But kind of unpack that for me a little bit.
Okay, so initially, you know, like I said, so around 15, I found out, you know, what was going on. You know, like my dad, he fell off, he wasn't working, you know, things had kind of fizzled away. You know, I'm seeing people driving my dad's car.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
I'm
weird.
Like, dudes in my neighborhood, I'm like, oh, you got my pop's car for?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Thinking, I'm like, hold on, that's weird, you know? And I remember little stuff like that, but specifically, you know, with that, I was mad. I remember when I seen that shift, like, so then, you know, it was demonized, like, you know, you just a drug addict, you just a criminal,
Right.
like, you know, you just, you know, selfish, you know what I mean? And so it made you upset. But then, like I said, right now, that's why I call it the gentrification of drug addiction, because that's when things got better, when it started to affect the other community.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for sure.
So and I'm like, okay, now that it's affecting the opioids, it trickled back into that community when, you know, from after they put it in ours, now it went back over there. Now, you know, my father can get this help.
So you're talking about whether, you know, when it went to white communities,
right,
as opposed to black communities. Now all of a sudden, it's becoming more of something to be paid attention to and to be diagnosed.
Yeah,
effectively.
Now right. At first, it was a war.
Go ahead.
You know, it was a criminal. Yeah, because we know about who was that? Reagan. Yeah, Reagan. Right in his time, they funded that war with the drugs that was put. It's all documented now. You can go. They funded the war with the drugs that was put in our community, and everything like that. And so at first, that was the war on drugs. It was you were a criminal. You get, you know. I think one of the things was the same amount of cocaine that a white person could have, because they used to have the powder, and then in the black community it was the crack that just had some, you know, baking soda or something on it.
Yeah.
But it's the same drug, but you get 5 times more. Like, you know, for the same amount of drugs, you get 5 times more prison time for if you get caught with it. So a person with the cocaine as opposed to the crack, you know. And they did it like that because the powder, the cocaine was more predominantly in the white community and the crack was in the black community.
Yeah.
And so when I seen things like that, it made me very angry. You know what I'm saying? I was mad, you know, because like now my father, I lost my father. He didn't get that kind of support that he would have needed. You know what I'm saying? That I'm able to help people with now. He didn't get all of this rehab and treatment and therapy and you know, all this medical attention that he clearly needed because he was sick. It's a mental disorder. You know, he was put in the prisons and where it perpetuated
where he couldn't be
problem.
rehabilitated.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. You know. So that's why, you know, I always use that term. You know, I guess that's the only way things get better when it get gentrified. I guess, you know, they like, until something gets gentrified,
you know,
if they want to fix the prisons, you know, you got to gentrify them, I guess, you know.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Prison reform, if you know, because that seems to be the way it works in this society. Once things get gentrified, now it's not a war no more on drugs. Now it's a sickness, you know, and so. So yeah, that was my position on, you know, that's how I felt about the two situations.
Yeah, and so when you dig into that deeper, I kind of hear you saying what you're not saying, which is possibly if your father had been diagnosed accurately, then he could have been treated and could have possibly even been here longer than what he was. Yeah, and that's a hell of a price to pay. You know, from a societal standpoint. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. And so, you know, with that, so you're dealing with all of that, man, and we got a lot of young men and young women, for that matter, that are dealing with, you know, parents who are on drugs and what have you, and trying to navigate life and going through different, you know, situations and circumstances, whether it's you know, depression or anxiety and what have you. You know, and then I know a lot of young kids who feel like, well, if I grew up with my parents on drugs, then I don't really, and if I grew up in the hood, then I don't really have a whole lot of opportunities for success. And that's not your story. Like you kind of looked at that from a different perspective, because now you're in the social service. Yeah. Peer recovery, right? So talk about how you let's just call it turn the corner on that. In other words, how you took a bad situation that you experienced throughout your life and didn't let it overtake you, and then you basically took a situation that was bad and used it for your benefit.
Yeah. So, and that's a great point, you know, because that's where we come in, and like you said, from what y'all do, the mentoring. So that's when I met some amazing people, you know what I'm saying, that came into my life to where, you know, initially, you know, and they got this study too, before I get into that, you know about the ACEs study. Have you ever heard that study?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Adverse childhood experiences. Okay. You know, so they know, you know, that these, excuse me, that these experiences, these adverse experiences causes all these problems for us. It's even something that I learned when I was in college about the broken window theory, saying that if, you know, you have abandoned houses and broken windows, it invites crime and different things like that. So them, you know, knowing all these things, and even and another thing that that showed you the ACEs study, the broken window, that they know how much trauma it causes, but they don't really, you know, they still don't give people in our community always the help that they need and the diagnoses that they need, because like that's where their superheroes come from. You know, like what does Batman came from? His parents lost his parents. A billionaire kid lost his parents. Now he's a vigilante, and it's okay. Everybody understands it. You know what I'm saying? Superman, you know, orphan, you know, lost his parents, and now he's, you know, and everybody understands these superheroes. Like they can become a superhero and become a vigilante, and people get it. Like, oh, he lost his family, he lost his father. He, you know, now he's Batman or Spider-Man.
He turns
now
into
he's
a superhero
because you know,
Interesting point.
you know, and so they understand the trauma. So anyway, so now, and if you got the proper help and the things that we're doing, it's so critical. Like these kids don't need prison and all these things. They need mentorship like we're doing. So and I said, I like to say, I met a brother coming in, Mark Robinson.
Okay.
Mark Robinson, he came and showed me how to be a professional. So I'm out there in the streets, you know, because now I'm hustling, trying to survive because I was homeless. And trying to survive, so I'm hustling in the streets. And he's seen, you know, I'm seeing little dudes on the streets, and I'm thinking I'm helping them because they broke. You know, I got a little bit of money, I'm giving them some packs. Here you go make you some money, man, you know, bring me back this, woo, woo. Mark see that, he like, hey, man, you got this effect on the youth and all this, you can use that corporately. You can change your product. You know what I'm saying? You can lead the youth in this way. And he's seen something in me to say like, hey, let me, you know, and I seen him. He took me to some of his meetings and different things like that. I seen him work a room and talk to people and work with kids. I'm just like, wow. You know, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting. That's interesting that you bring that point up, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, man, how that mentorship truly impact your life, and we're going to dig into that real deep. It's your man, Mr. Dan. You listening to the Man Up Club Presents. So you mentioned your mentor, Mark Robinson. Now, that's a pivotal point because mentorship, man, obviously that's what we do at the Man Up Club, and I recognize how critical it is. Even me growing up, I had, you know, not knowing my father, but there were a couple men who stepped into my life at the right time. And had they not stepped in at that particular time, my path would have been completely different. You feel me? So the power of a mentor, man, is huge. And so, you know, as you're talking about your mentor, Mark Robinson, and how he's observing your behavior, but at the same time, he's not demonizing your behavior. He's looking at your behavior and looking at it as an opportunity for you to develop and grow if it's channeled in the right direction. And so as opposed to beating you up over it and demonizing you for selling packs and all of that, what he did was he's like, okay, here's a young man who I see that has the potential to be a leader. And so now let me just shape, you know, and cultivate this talent that he already has.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so continue to speak to that, man, because I think that's extremely powerful, and I think that's what a lot of young people need.
Yeah, and so yeah, absolutely, man. Mark Roberts, he saw that because coming up, you know, like I said, I was homeless. I was just trying to find a way, and I seen other little dudes out there trying to find a way. So I'm like, hey, I thought I was helping, but Mark, he was like, hey, man, you have a gift, you know what I'm saying, and you have a gift to lead people. These young brothers, they look up to you, and you care about people. You know what I'm saying? You know, even then, like I said, my little packs, I was saying it was more in the weed thing because I still had I didn't want to sell something that I wouldn't do for free. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't into the hard drugs, you know, things like that, because I'm just like, you know, I'm like, I wouldn't do this, you know. So I still had a little, you know, I think he seen, like, we talked and I was telling him, like, I remember him saying, okay, yeah, you do still care about people to an extent. But Mark, he was just like, hey, you know, we started working together. So he, with the Culture Wellness Center, I was put with him, and we was doing the JDAI. It was called the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative Program.
Okay.
So he's like, man, I want you to come and work with these kids. Because they were like, instead of sending them to prison, they want to send them to our program to see if we can help them, right? And it was interesting that we in there, before we go in, he like, just use your story, you know, work with these kids and let them know what you're doing, what you've been through. And we was doing great. Like our children was, the kids who was coming through our program, they wasn't reoffending, they were trying to change their life. And lo and behold, one of the people in the meetings who was behind the funding was saying, like, if this program is successful, it has the potential to put probation officers out of a job. And so slowly they started pulling back our funding to things like that. But so Mark basically, you know, he kind of just showed me how to be a professional, you know, how to be in the corporate world, showed me how to, you know, facilitate meetings in a room and on that side.
Yeah.
Right. But but it didn't, as far as morally, you know, like, you know, my moral compass, like that's where when I met my Israelite brothers in the ISUPK, that's when I met, you know, Captain Malquad, Commanding General Yohana, General Mahaiman. They showed me how to be a man of God, a man of morals and values, meeting them brothers. You know, because now with Mark Robinson, I'm still being, you know, I'm being a professional, but I'm still womanizing. I'm still doing, you know, like I was telling, like a brother the other day, like, you know, being in the UPK taught me not to treat my sisters like whores. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna touch a woman if we not finna be together forever. You know what I'm saying? If you wanted somebody to just have sex with you and toss you to the side of the road, you can go holler at Super Rod from Dollar Tree. You know
right. I got you.
Know, I'm not into that. And I was telling my brother the other day, like, you know, I'm not finna be a whore and whoremongering, you know, in the strip clubs, you know, perpetuating whoredom. Or and with that, man, I take it a step further, you perpetuating pedophilia. Because a lot of them women in them strip clubs were sexually abused when you talk to them. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you taking advantage of this girl who, that's what her abuser wanted. That's what the man who abused her wanted for her, to be promiscuous and to sell herself. And so if you going in there, you're perpetuating that. You're helping that abuser win. You know, like, because a lot of them women in them clubs and that's out here being very promiscuous, when you talk to them, you will see 9 times out of 10, you know, a lot of them were assaulted coming up, you know, sexually assaulted, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so being with the ISUPK, they showed me about our culture, customs, and traditions, and what being a man of God looks like. You know what I'm saying? And that's what got me to not be on drugs anymore, even though, like I stopped, you know, you can't be a drug addict, you know, being, you know, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of God, give up the drugs, you know, the womanizing, you know, you can't be an alcoholic, you can't, you know, do these things. And so meeting them brothers, and they kept me on point, like, you know, I'm checking in with them, they keep holding me accountable. You know, and it was always these, you know, people that come in your life that can make you to be a better person. And that's what they did for me, man. And that's when my life started to change. That's when I started getting, you know, when the Lord really started blessing me. Like I started opening, that's when the businesses came and all these opportunities came. Because before that, I was at my my father's funeral. That was the first year I met the ISUPK. I was at my father's funeral and I stood up at his eulogy and I was telling him I was hurt and I was angry. And I was telling him I was going to kill everybody that ever sold my dad drugs. You know what I'm saying? I was that mad.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was, you know, then I thought, but at that time, my old man was dying. You know, the man I used to be, I was becoming born again. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it talks about in the scriptures, being born again. I was becoming a new man. My old person, I had to die for me to live. You know, who I used to be. I wasn't Qadash Zayan. I was that other person. And I told them, like, but I'm not going to do that to y'all because this ain't personal with me. You will unalive your own mother and father with these. You will sell your own mother and father drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the, you know, you sick too. Satan is Satan. You know what I'm saying? You battling demons. You know what I'm saying? That's what this battle is.
Yeah.
And, so it's not personal with y'all. So I took that anger and said, you know what? I'm so angry. I'm never going to perpetuate the pipeline to prison ever again.
Yeah.
I'm so angry. I'm never finna perpetuate white supremacy again. I'm so angry. I'm never doing drugs again. I'm never treating my sisters like whores again. I'm never finna harm another brother or sister again. You know, that's how angry I am.
Yeah.
I'm so angry that I'm going to be the best person I can be to battle against this systemic racism that's going on in our community. You know, so that's what the brothers in the ISUPK showed me how to do. Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So it was both. It was professional, you know, corporate, showed me that. And then I met these brothers, they showed me how to be a man and be a man of the Lord and be a man of value and moral standards and moral grounds, you know, and how to be a real leader, you know, of men. And that's, and the first thing, you know, you got to master yourself. You got to, you know,
Well, that's a huge thing. That's huge.
And so that's what it was, man. I had to get off them drugs. I had to, and that's why I'm in recovery. That's why I got the Brick by Brick Foundation now.
Okay.
Brick by Brick Foundation, where we help, and I'm now a certified peer recovery specialist. Like my partner, he the one told me. So I've been doing this work since 2016.
Okay.
I had to take my father off life support on 420 from fentanyl.
Oh, really?
On 420 from fentanyl overdose. I had to pull the plug on my father. You know what I'm saying? So at that time, I looked at it as a sign like I never did drugs, you know, from that time forward.
Okay,
you know
from that time.
From that time, and that was the same time where the same year, I met the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is what it stands for.
Okay.
And I met them, and it was just up, you know, ever since then, you know, so I never wanted to do, you know, drugs again.
So you had two mentors. You know, you had like you said, Mark Roberts for the professional, but then you had your brothers as a part of your organization that helped you spiritually and helped you gain a moral compass.
Absolutely.
I believe that this is just my personal belief. I also am of the belief that it takes some spiritual intervention in order for people to really get off drugs and stay off of it. There's a lot of people that don't believe that they believe that they can just attack it, you know, from a practical perspective. But to your point, you know, dealing with, you know, the demonic forces and what have you, the things that you can't see, the principalities, the wickedness in the high places and all of that, like that plays a major role. But it's hard to get a lot of people to understand that if they don't understand the spiritual side of themselves. You know, so it's like you trying to diagnose, like what you talked about, taking care of self, dealing with self. But in order to do that, to have introspection, you got to understand who you are. And a lot of people really, what I've come to find out is a lot of people don't really understand that they're made of part spirit. And so they leave that, you know, they don't even pay attention to that, and they try to deal with everything from a fleshly standpoint, and then still struggle with why they are not able to overcome their issues and situations and circumstances. I'm gonna give it back to you in a minute. It's your man, Mr. Dean. You're listening to the Man Up Club Presents on Holy Culture Radio. If you want to tap into the Man Up Club and you want to support the Man Up Club, please feel free to do so. Tap into our website at themanupclub.org. Once again, that's themanupclub.org. Everything that we provide for the young men in our organization is free, so we would love to have your donations. It's your man, Mr. Dean, talking with my man, Qadash, on the Man Up Club Presents, and we getting into it real deep, talking about his childhood, what he had to face, having two parents on drugs, and then eventually becoming a teenager and moving from Chicago to Minnesota and still going through adversity himself, ultimately being homeless, and then having mentors to step into his life that changed his trajectory, whether it was his mentor, Mark Robinson, or the ISUPK organization,
which helped him change his moral compass. So, man, like I was saying, like this thing where people don't recognize the spiritual aspect of themselves and trying to diagnose themselves and have introspection to better themselves. I'm of the belief that it's almost virtually impossible to try to improve yourself overall as a human being in the human experience without addressing the spiritual aspect of yourself. And so, first of all, I want to commend you on your transition and how you made the transition, because part of it is that, we have to be able to heed the call when we hear it, when we hear people who want to help us better ourselves, oftentimes in the Man Up Club, and we do great work, we change a lot of lives. But there are a lot of young men that we reach out to, who don't turn the corner, and who refuse to help, for whatever their own personal mindset is or whatever their own thought process is. And that's a tragedy, because a lot of times later on in life, you hear these, you follow up on these guys and they either end up dead or in prison or on drugs or what have you. And it's like, we could have helped. You feel me? But hats off to you for when you heard that call, man, that you answered it.
No, that's what the scriptures say, man. Many are called, but few are chosen.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? My sheep hear my voice, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I heard it, That's why I said it was. And when I came into them brothers, like I wanted to continue to live, kind of like that. Like I was having fun.
Okay.
But it's like, it's the definition of insanity. You know what I'm saying? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
For sure.
And so that's what I had been doing my whole life. I was going through, I did this. My father did it. My grandfather and them did it. Lived that same life, gang banging and hustling and womanizing, all of these things. Mm-hmm. So when I went to them, brother, I'm like, oh, this is how you say you got to serve the Lord. This is what to get us up out of this hell that we're in, this hellish condition. Okay, let me give it a shot. Like I done did everything else. If this don't work, I always go back to doing what I was doing before.
That's a good point.
So I went in there asking questions, like trying to find any reason to go back. You know what I'm saying? Like a dog to his vomit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And the Lord didn't, like you said, didn't want that for me. You know what I'm saying? And it was no reason to go back. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I realized, like you said, I want to make a point of what you said about people don't know about those demons.
Yeah.
If you look at it practically, you can tell it's a spiritual warfare, because when I see people battling demons, because all the demons it's a familiar spirit. You can see the demon of drug addiction. You can see it on them. That's why all of them the same. You can see the demon of what I call the demon of homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? Because all of them move the same. Actually, you can see it on their countenance when somebody's battling homosexuality, or when somebody's battling alcoholism or whoredom. What they want, they all want to be naked, show their body, and they all the same. It's all the same demon. You can spot a whore demon. You can spot an alcoholic. You can spot a drug. A lot of times you can creepy pedophilia demons. Like you can just see it on people. You can feel it. That's how you know it's spiritual warfare. Like you said, principalities of darkness and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
Like you can see these things.
Yeah.
And so that's why, man, I really appreciate these brothers in the school to teach me how to have a moral compass, because it got me prepared for this battle. Every day is a battle. Every day is a battle. Life is war.
Speak to that, because I think that's extremely important, what you're saying. So was it hard making that transition? Was it hard for you?
Yes, it was hard.
Why was it hard for you?
Because that's how we was raised. Like you breaking generational curses. My whole family was raised up to be what I was, the same path I was going down. So it was hard to change it, but then it became not. Like it wasn't like grievous, but like to get off the drugs, to stop. You didn't, because you gotta want it. You gotta really want to be a better person.
Yeah.
And I wanted it. I didn't want to live the same life. I didn't want to go through the same hell that I seen happening with my people over these generations. Like, why? why are my people going through this? Why do we got to be oppressed? Why do we got to, we do everything, like we sucking and jiving, we bleaching our skin, perming our hair, and we still getting oppressed. Why, and then when I seen this, and they was like, hey, you got to get these laws, statutes, and commandments, get from up under these curses, try this. And when I did it, it became way easy. When I started keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, things came easy. Like I said, stuff was just coming. Like I said, this my Brick by Brick Foundation, it came from, the work I had been doing, helping people get off drugs. I've been doing it for free all these years. My boy tell me, hey man, I just got a job being a CPRS. I'm like, what? Certified Peer Recovery Specialist. He's like, you need to do this. You've been doing this work for years. So
and not getting the credit for it.
Not getting no money or no money. Now now no credit or the money. Now I can do work I can been doing. Now I can get paid for doing it. I can bill people's insurance. You know what I'm saying? Now for the work that I'm doing with them. If they got medical insurance, now all this work I'm doing for them, I'm doing resumes, going to the gym, doing NA classes, self-help classes, whatever I'm doing with them, I can bill their insurance 4 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And he seen that. He like, hey, you need to do this. So I go to take that, and I took it a step further. Like, it's all this money out here to help people. Like, okay, let's start a nonprofit.
Well, you know what the scriptures say, my people perish for what?
Lack of knowledge.
All right. Right.
So I got the knowledge, absolutely. A lot of people perish for a lack of knowledge, man. And so, so that's happening now. Now we just got a nonprofit, and this is the Lord, man. This is when you start doing right. When you start treating people's daughters like you want your daughter to be treated. People's brothers. That's why God said the best commandment is treat people how you want to be treated. And now we got this foundation. We just got approved back in May. Okay. And now we just had a partnership with a $400,000 grant.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
To build our capacity and to help people with getting off of drugs, battling substance abuse disorder, I like to say, the sickness of substance abuse disorder. We just partnered with an organization on this $400,000 grant. Okay. And it's like, and it's just all happening, because you decided to live righteously. You know what I'm saying? You decided to let that old person die. You know what I'm saying? And so I could live, And like I said, learn how to talk again, how to dress again, what to eat and what not to eat again, different things like that. And man, it's been an amazing journey, man. It's been an amazing journey. And I'm in the prisons now. I get to go in the prisons, once a week to mentor youth in the prisons. Nice. At the JDC in downtown St. Paul. I get to go in there every week, mentoring them, getting
What's
them prepared.
like?
Man, it's amazing to see them. And it's hurtful, though, because some of them, if I could have met them before, man, they wouldn't have been in there. Some of them in there because they were sent off by their big uncles and cousins to do a job. And I'm hearing these stories. I'm like, wow, and so yeah, man, it's been an amazing journey. I get to use my life work. I get to give back what Mark gave to me to other young men. Give back what the ISUPK gave to me. I get to give it, and I get to use my life story to I was doing it for free since 2016. This all just happened. I'm just starting to get money from doing this work. I'm like, wow, but I was serious.
And how old are you now?
I'm 39 now.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
I'm 39, and it's been an amazing journey, man. And I just, once you really, give your life to the Most High and really live, like I said, I'm supposed to be dead, so my life don't belong to me no more. You know what I'm saying? So I live my life for God, for the Most High, because, like I said, when I was living my life for myself, it was getting me nowhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? So now that I was just telling somebody at first, like, I don't do these things. I was talking to the brother, like, I do this not because I like you. You know what I'm saying? I really don't like people all the time because people can be evil, mean people.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I do this work because the Lord told me to do it. Yeah. I'm out here helping you right now because of God, not because of you. Because I don't think you're a good person. I'm not too fond of you, brother. But I do this because I was told by the Lord that this is what I have to do with this new life that He gave me. And so I do it. You know what I'm saying? Because of God. It's all glory to the Most High.
I heard that. Tell me about Brick by Brick. That's your organization?
Yeah, Brick by Brick Foundation, man. That's what we recovery reentry. We working on a fourplex right now. Okay. Where I'll be at House Brothers coming. That's the last step because we already doing food and clothing drives all the time, all around the country. Outside the country, like I said, I was just in Trinidad and Tobago doing food and clothing drives and different things. We just did 3 of them down in Houston earlier this couple weeks ago, actually. Okay. And we do this work, man, and so this fourplex is one of the I'll be at the House Brothers and Sisters. It's a 12-bedroom, and I'm gonna try to work with the prisons. They say they'll pay you for beds. You know, you housing people, they'll give you money for beds. And to house brothers and sisters, man. And I'm one of my prerequisites to be here. You got to be coming to these where I'll be able to house brothers coming. That's the last step, because we already doing food and clothing drives all the time, all around the country. Outside the country, like I said, I was just in Trinidad and Tobago doing food and clothing drives and different things. We just did 3 of them down in Houston at the beginning. Earlier this couple weeks ago, actually.
Okay.
And you know, we do this work, man. And this fourplex is one of the I'll be able to house brothers and sisters. It's a 12-bedroom, and I'm gonna try to work with the prisons. They say they'll pay you for beds. You know, you housing people, they'll give you money for beds. And to house brothers and sisters, man. And I'm one of my prerequisites to be here. You got to be coming to these
Tell me about Brick by Brick. That's your organization?
Yeah, Brick by Brick Foundation, man. That's what we recovery reentry. You know, we working on a fourplex right now.
Okay.
Where I'll be able to house brothers coming. That's the last step, because we already doing food and clothing drives all the time, all around the country. Outside the country, like I said, I was just in Trinidad and Tobago doing food and clothing drives and different things. We just did 3 of them down in Houston at the beginning. Earlier this couple weeks ago, actually.
Okay.
And you know, we do this work, man. And this fourplex is one of the I'll be able to house brothers and sisters. It's a 12-bedroom, and I'm gonna try to work with the prisons. They say they'll pay you for beds. You know, you housing people, they'll give you money for beds. And to house brothers and sisters, man. And I'm one of my prerequisites to be here. You got to be coming to these classes. Our classes to be, you know, to learn about your culture and customs and traditions, to learn about moral compasses and moral values, and to be actively battling substance abuse. You know, that's how you get to be in one of our beds. You got to be, you know, putting this work in. You got to be battling them demons.
Right.
You know, and so that's what Brick by Brick is about. We doing, you know, we do it from 12 all the way. We do it working with the youth. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got a plug from over in China on clothes and shoes. So that's my for-profit business called People Plugging and Production.
Okay.
Where I give, you know, I got a plug on nice stuff. So on a fourplex right now.
Okay.
Where I'll be able to house brothers coming. That's the last step, because we already doing food and clothing drives all the time, all around the country. Outside the country, like I said, I was just in Trinidad and Tobago doing food and clothing drives and different things. We just did 3 of them down in Houston at the beginning. Earlier this couple weeks ago, actually.
Okay.
And you know, we do this work, man. And this fourplex is one of the I'll be able to house brothers and sisters. It's a 12-bedroom, and I'm gonna try to work with the prisons. They say they'll pay you for beds. You know, you housing people, they'll give you money for beds. And to house brothers and sisters, man. And I'm one of my prerequisites to be here. You got to be coming to these classes. Our classes to be, you know, to learn about your culture and customs and traditions, to learn about moral compasses and moral values, and to be actively battling substance abuse. You know, that's how you get to be in one of our beds. You got to be, you know, putting this work in. You got to be battling them demons.
Right.
You know, and so that's what Brick by Brick is about. We doing, you know, we do it from 12 all the way. We do it working with the youth. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got a plug from over in China on clothes and shoes. So that's my for-profit business called People Plugging in Production.
Okay.
Where I give, you know, I got a plug on nice stuff so kids don't feel like they got to go out and hurt people and sell drugs to look fly. You know, so I give them stuff for way cheaper than what they feel like they got to go in these high-end stores and buy it. So we do that, you know. So just food, clothing, and shelter, helping brothers get off substance abuse, helping brothers with re-entry coming out of prison. You know, hey, we're gonna help you with classes, get acclimated back to society, get the therapy that you need to be back out here. You know what I mean? And you know, find job, do your resume, get in school, whatever you're trying to do. So that's what Brick by Brick about. You know, like I said, I work from the 12 because I see that it's starting so young.
Yeah.
You know, and I got this. You know, we got tickets for everybody. All the events I got a partnership with Tickets for Kids, where we are able to give free tickets to basketball games, concerts, museums, and everything. So families who can't afford to take their kids out, now they can. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's
so,
up.
man, we doing a ton of work, man, with Brick by Brick, man. It's going to be amazing. And look out for us.
That's what's up, man. Qadash, it's a pleasure, man, to sit and talk with you, man. You're full of wisdom and knowledge, and continue to pass that on, man. And you know, you've very accomplished and overcame a lot, man. And that's what we want to see at you know, with what we're doing at the Man Up Club. And I really love that holistic approach that you're talking about in regards to, you know, helping this next generation. It's your man, Mr. Dean. You listen to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Holla at us.
Man, if you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel, and also please go to ISUPK.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West. They're one West. They're one West. They're one